So hello everybody and welcome to today's edition of our CESI Talks. CESI Talks is a series of conversations in the frame of the WEP24 project, which is co-funded by the European Parliament. Today we have the pleasure to have with us Mr. José Gusmão, Vice Chair of the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs at the European Parliament. Unfortunately, our Secretary General was not able to join us today, but I know that you will meet next week. Welcome, Mr. Gusmão.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Mr. Gusmão, let's start with the first question. What are the main objectives of the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs? And I'm asking this question because one of the objectives of the project is to raise awareness among citizens about the work that is done in the European Parliament. So, please.
So the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs is in charge of most economic policies within the European Union. We have a part of budgetary functions. We were, for instance, involved in the design of the RRF, the Recovery and Resilience Fund. We are responsible for the issues related to financial systems, the financial system, of course, economic governance, the European semester, and monetary affairs, where the committee responsible for monitoring the activity of the European Central Bank. And of course, within the Econ Committee, there is a subcommittee, which is the FISC committee, of which I'm also a member and coordinator for my group, which basically deals with tax issues within the European Union, tax coordination where relevant, tax evasion, which has been probably our main focus, because this committee was created in the sequence of LuxLeaks and other tax scandals. So this is not an exhaustive list, but some of the most important topics that we deal with.
Great. And focusing on today, what current issues and challenges is the committee focused on addressing right now?
Well, we have some tax files on our hands on administrative cooperation between tax authorities. But I would say now that our attentions are going to be very much focused on the package for banking crisis that I am not working on. It will be handled by my colleague Martin Schirdewan from Germany, and the other one, which is probably the most important package we will have during this mandate, is the review of the economic governance framework. All three files are coming through the Econ Committee, and we hope to have a Parliament position by the end of the year, so that we can have a negotiated position with the Commission and the Council before the end of the mandate.
Thank you. And one last question about the European elections that will come next year in 2024. We are some months after the so-called Qatar Gate. My question to you is if you believe that the Qatar Gate will negatively affect the participation of citizens in the coming elections. And a sub-question here would be, how can we mobilize citizens? How can we make them vote?
Well, I think the fact that we've been having lack of transparency and corruption and revolving door scandals for quite some time in European institutions. And I would say that Qatar Gate is, although it's a non-representative kind of corruption. I mean, the kind of corruption that we see in Qatar Gate with allegedly suitcases of money being handed, I mean, that's not what real world corruption is really like. I mean, apparently it still doesn't happen, But I'm also very much interested in working on a file in another committee that is going to deal with the issue of corruption. And in my opinion, the biggest issue that we have to deal with in corruption in European institutions is the revolving doors mechanism. We have an enormous number of former MEPs and former commissioners that are now working for multinational corporations or lobbies, many of which in the same areas where they used to work when they were MEPs or commissioners. And this is a much more serious problem when we have to deal with lobbyings interfering with the normal democratic process, because there is I think very weak safeguards to avoid these kinds of direct transfers between commission, between parliament, and between regulators and the private sector. And this, of course, is a much more effective way to get lawmakers in the pockets of lobbies and multinational corporations. So I hope that before the end of the mandate, we will also be able to have a good report from the European Parliament with concrete measures and not just statements of intent on how to tackle corruption and lack of transparency in all European institutions. If I end up taking that report, which is not certain yet, I will do my best so that we have not just an outrage about the specific Qatargate scandal, but actual measures to prevent these kinds of scandals in the future.
Thank you very much. And regarding the participation of citizens in the elections, what would you say to a citizen that has doubts?
Well, I think it's very important that we manage to make clear in the European elections that there are different projects for the European Union. I think one of the issues that we have is that there is a big distance between public debate and what is going on in European institutions. I think it's gotten a little better, at least that's the experience that I have in my country. But I think the more people are close to the main debates in the European institutions, the more they realize that many things that have a very direct impact in their lives are being decided here. I mean, I can give two very strong examples related to my activity. The first one is monetary policy. I mean, right now, everybody in the Eurozone knows exactly how powerful the monetary policy can be in affecting their daily lives in a very direct way when we discuss, for instance, credits and housing credits and mortgage credits, but also in a slightly less obvious way in the way that it affects the funding of states and their ability to conduct social and environmental and economic policies for their own countries. And the other one, of course, is the review of the economic governance framework. I mean, this will shape the way that economic policies in every member state will look like for a very long time. So these are going to be very important decisions that we will be making in the end of this mandate. It's not clear whether we will have an agreement before the European elections, so this may end up being one of the big topics of the European elections campaigns. But I think, I mean, the more people follow what is being discussed in the European institutions, the more they will realize how important these elections are and how important it is to choose from different projects for the future of the European Union.
Mr. Gusmão, thank you very much for being with us.